The transition to primary school can be a really anxious time for parents. I was really worried about would the school take care of him, would he be safe? And then you're handing them over to teachers who don't really know them, and it can be a really anxious time. My name is Emily Shepherd and I am the director of UsherKids Australia, and I'm also the parent of a 9-year-old boy who has Usher syndrome.
I think my biggest concern when sending Harry to primary school was his ability to manage in the playground, being able to keep up with the other kids and stay safe. I'm Holly Feller. I am one of the co-founders of UsherKids Australia. I'm also the mum of Harry, who is 8 in grade 2 at a mainstream school with Usher syndrome type 1F.
One of the biggest challenges I have found as a parent is being able to explain Lewis's needs really to the wider school community.
Once you have enabled the staff to understand what your needs are, then you need to let them make it work.
At the start of each school year, we sit down with the new teacher, any support services such as a visiting teacher of the deaf, a visiting teacher of the vision impaired, and we set some goals for the year. We talk about what his interests are, what activities he might be able to be included in, and what barriers there might be and how we can overcome those barriers.
Each of our children, depending on their needs, has an individual learning improvement plan with very particular, measured, specific targets that we address in the run-up, about 6 or 7 weeks of a term. But the awareness very strongly influenced by the family. That's really vital that we have that close connection.
Each year we'll put together just a little O&M manual for teachers, which actually talks about that child specifically, explains a little bit about their vision and how they're functionally using it for mobility. So that way the teachers at least got something they can refer to when we're not around.
Creating a team to support your child in that school environment has been very rewarding and really does make a difference.
A parent can request to the school that they would like an O&M specialist to come in and do some work with their child in there, implementing what those adaptations are for the classroom, what strategies they need to use that the teacher and the other staff are then comfortable to do each day.
There can be some really small considerations that can make a really big difference in selecting a classroom. Where the classroom is situated, is it close to noisy roads? Is it close to where they're doing outside sport, where there might be a lot of background noise?
So every learning space that has a deaf or hard of hearing student in it will have a sound field system. So the class teacher wears a transmitter and the children have their personal ones.
Lighting, glare is a very common problem for people with low visions.
Keeping corridors clear of bags and tripping hazards, making sure chairs are pushed in, and just really working with the teacher and changing things if they're not working.
One of the things that I think is really important to address is the fatigue levels of the children in the classroom.
Having regular breaks throughout the day I find has been really helpful for my son.
Having desks that are of different heights so that they can have the choice to stand for different activities or sit on the floor.
So just making sure that the school are aware of the fatigue levels and making sure that is adequately addressed throughout the day.
With mobility side of things, if you can get in before their child starts school and do some orientation so that they're familiar with the environment the first day. Looking at things, for example, like steps.
Painted yellow lines to show where surfaces change and become uneven.
Tactile surface, ground surface indicators get put in, which are the bumpy tiles that people may have seen.
There are handrails around the school in order to help them upstairs.
Another common modification we might do in the school is around poles, putting a contrasting colour around that pole just so that it stands out in the environment.
And there's actually yellow painted lines outside the school gates just before the curb. Every parent will manage talking to the teachers and the classroom about their child having Usher syndrome differently because their journey will be different.
It's always rewarding when you know the skills that you're teaching someone is stuff that's going to be useful for their whole life. If you get their confidence and the mobility skills young, that's always going to be able to, you just build on them as you get older.
Seeing those anxious parents prior to coming to school, And a year later, they've settled in. At the end of the year, they reflect and think it's just been such a good time.